Hello, this is Wmpyr here to talk about two shows on Netflix. The first one, Bloodhounds. So this is a Korean action drama. The main character, from what I could tell, is a young kid. He's a boxer, and the scene that I really liked was this kid. He's coming home from the boxing gym, and he's trying to get back on a bus to go home. And this is like during COVID time, so you got to wear a mask to ride the bus. And this one dude, he's refusing to wear a mask, and he's causing problems. And the bus driver's like, "No, to get on, you got to wear a mask." And this guy's becoming very violent, and just causing a lot of problems, very disruptive. And the boxer kid, he basically handles the situation, fights the guy, but he's super polite about it. He's like, I'm sorry. And he's not even really attacking. He's just blocking, dodging, parrying, and all that. And he handles the situation, humiliates the guy, essentially, because they're just not in the same skill. He's a fighter. He's trained, a current boxer, and this other guy's just a normal dude. And you could just see the difference there. So I really like that scene. It made me laugh, and in a good way, So anyway, later on they show the kid in an actual boxing tournament. Okay, so in this tournament I get to see more choreography, and so it's boxers. It's a boxing choreography in the ring, boxer against boxer. From my amateur eyes, I believe it's very difficult to film, whether it's for a movie or a TV show, boxing, like the sport of boxing, to film that, and choreograph that. I mean, unless they're just actually boxing for real, but to have it choreographed and to do that, I believe is very difficult, and the audience can see what's going on and all that. So when I was watching it, honestly, the choreography here did not impress me at all, but a part of me was like, dude, it's difficult to film this, so kind of gave it some slack, right? The part that really did it for me was after that. There's a scene where the kid is trying to save his mom because his mom gets attacked by, basically, I don't know what else to call them, but the Korean mafia. And at that point, the kid comes running in and takes on, like, I don't know, like 10 guys, and then he takes on like the top dog henchman, like a brute enforcer type of guy. And the choreography for me for that, especially when it was taking on like the 10 guys, it was just so bad. And look, by bad, I feel like it's normal for today's standards, but for me, as someone that has been involved in the martial arts for pretty much most of my life, it takes me out of it. It's just, to me, I don't like this kind of choreography. Don't get me wrong, I feel like it's better than the rope stuff back in the Tiger, what is it, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon days, where a lot of the Jet Li stuff and that kind of stuff was a lot of rope work. I super did not like the rope work back in the day. Still don't like it to this day. And then to me, it's kind of similar. I'm not a big fan of this kind of choreography, so it turned me off. Just my personal preference. Okay, doesn't mean anything, but not a big fan. So then started watching Sanctuary. Sanctuary is a Japanese TV action drama about sumo wrestlers. And the choreography in here blew me away. Okay, so first of all, let me get to this. The character, like I said, in Bloodhounds, the character was like this perfect kid, right, who takes care of his mom, is super sweet, gives her money, it is that kind of person. Over here in Sanctuary, it's kind of like the opposite. This kid is a delinquent, and he ends up going into sumo kind of for the wrong reasons, for fame and fortune, okay? And he's in there, and it's brutal. They show the old school Japan mentality of, senpai kohai type relationship, which is, the people there that are before you, and then you coming in as a noob, you're really treated badly, and how tough and rough sumo training is. Now, I understand that sumo is not a very, unfortunately, not a very popular sport, probably outside of Japan. People, probably they don't get it, and they look at them and they go, they're just a bunch of big fat guys, and they're wearing diapers, and this kind of thing, right? And if you remember in Street Fighter 2, there was a character, E Honda, who is one of the characters you can select, and he joined that tournament so sumo could get respect, right? And yeah, it's very, very traditional. Those guys were, my understanding, they were supposed to be the bodyguards for the emperor, and the emperor, it's the emperor's sport, and the emperor's supposed to be there watching this stuff, every match is there's a room up there for him. And anyway, so the character for me was more interesting, or almost more relatable, than the perfect kid. I like this delinquent kid, hilarious and funny to watch. His attitude is terrible, but fun to watch. And then but he has a good heart, though, but the main thing I want to get into is the choreography. Now, the choreography for this sumo should be hard as hell, because sumo matches, if you've ever seen, they're seconds, okay, and they're super fast. They just collide and boom, it's over in seconds. It's so unique. The art of sumo, this show just constantly reminds me of that. The sport of sumo is so unique because it is a grappling style at the end of the day, right? And just think of other grappling styles, whether it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, catch wrestling, judo, sambo, some kind of tribal wrestling from Africa, or we have the Middle Eastern and also the Indian type of wrestling. There's wrestling found all over the world, and so grappling is huge, okay? All over the world. As human beings, it was in our nature to grapple. And usually when you have this kind of thing, when you do grappling, they separate it from striking arts. Sumo allows you to push the guy, boom, boom, boom. That push many times crosses over into palm strike, where you're going, I don't know, man. That push was a little bit like a palm strike. Now, is there a real punishment for that? Not really. Not really. It's kind of like this borderline technique where the push is almost a strike and it's legal. Let's also think about how they start. How they start in the match, where you put your fist down. You got to put both fists down and then it begins. But the other guy has to also match that. Then you're in agreement to go, and then you go. But there's what they call like false starts. There's, wrong timings. It's not when the ref says, "You ready? Are you ready? Go." It's not like that, which is every other sport is pretty much like that, right? Where the ref says go and they go. This is not that way. One of the few that's not that way. So that's another thing. Number 3, I always thought is there's a technique in sumo, what I call, and from the Filipino martial arts, and those of you that also do Jeet will understand this. It's called wrenching. Wrenching is a violent joint lock that is done for a split second. Okay, it's almost like you break the joint instantly, kind of thing, or you're trying to. you're going for that kind of thing. That's wrenching. And that's different from like a submission on the ground where you're applying a choke and you're squeezing, or even an arm bar. You're going back and you're lifting your hips and you're trying to crank it. It's a little bit different than the cranking, squeezing type of thing. It's a bam. It's one of those. That's wrenching. And in this show, they show wrenching like I don't know, like so far for me, I've seen it like 3 times, on 3 separate occasions. And it's one of those that it's illegal in sumo, but it's once again borderline because do they punish you for that? So and then of course there's a case of like accidental headbutt, accidental elbows hitting. This is kind of like in boxing that could totally happen, the butting and also the elbow. And I'm sure there's shoulder strike examples. We just don't. I don't notice it too much in the sumo, but I'm sure there is. But yeah, really the wrenching, and then the palm strike that could slip in there instead of, and even a violent slap, right? Is not really supposed to be, but they're allowed to push you on the throat. It's pretty insane. And then, like I said, number 3 is the way they start. So sumo to me is a tremendous martial art. It's a traditional sport, but it is a martial art. And watching this show, it's very cool. Reminds me of that. And once again, the choreography blew me away. It's like they did an amazing job, so amazing to the point where I was like, if they did martial arts movie with this kind of choreography, I think we might see another, I don't want to say golden age, but for me, in the 90s, martial arts was in the golden age where you had Van Damme and Seagal as the Hollywood action star kings. I'm sure back in the day when Bruce Lee, made it into Hollywood, that started a golden age. And then, of course, we got into the ninja stuff, ninja craze shortly after in the 80s, and then led to the 90s with, once again, Van Damme and Seagal being the spearhead. But yeah, and then later on we've had Jackie Chan, we've had Donnie Yen, a lot of people super into Yip Man and stuff. Not my cup of tea. And then also the raid stuff. But yeah, to me, out of all the newer stuff, Sanctuary is the one that blew me away with choreography. So I know you guys have, recommended to me John Wick this, or check out the Raid or Yip Man or whatever. But this is the one that really I haven't felt like this in a long way. This is an awesome martial arts TV show. And if this doesn't do well outside of Japan just because it's sumo, that's really sad. So I hope people can go, give it a chance, even if they are not really sumo fans, and see it more for like the martial arts aspect. It's pretty freaking amazing. And of course the drama cultural aspect there as well. So that's it for now. Thank you for viewing, and take care, folks.